So let's get started. I have here Bill Bolton, BB Insurance, Virginia. Thanks for joining. We're going to talk about how do you make $1 million in insurance. I've known Bill for many, many years. We've worked together in several different capacities. I'm delighted to have you on the show, Bill. You're building your own business now. It's an exciting time for you. And I'd like to talk to you this evening about how can you build a business and how can you make money in insurance. So if you could just take a few minutes, introduce yourself, and we'll get to the questions.
Sure. My name is Bill Bolton, BB Insurance. I'm the president. And my company started just over a year ago during the pandemic. And it actually gave me some decent time to set things up the correct way. Basic business infrastructure, insurance is one of those things. But yeah, I focus primarily on commercial property and casualty insurance. That means that I insure businesses. And that's all I do for now. Maybe some personal lines here and there for, as a courtesy to my clients, but that I focus on businesses, Rob.
Okay, great. So I knew you back when you were an insurance producer. So as I ask you these questions, I want you to take our viewers back in time to when you first started out insurance, because I think everyone's interested to hear, how do you make money in insurance as a producer, as a business owner? And tell us about your journey from how you first got started in insurance and where you are today.
Yeah, I was a chef. And that didn't work out. I didn't like it. Nights, weekends, holidays, I was starting a family and I was spending a lot of time doing something that I was not making that much money on. I thought that was my passion. I still love cooking. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It's a good way to focus your energy on something and pass the time. But it was not conducive to, starting a family and trying to do something to make money.
Right. Right.
So one of the things that I took away from that is having a conversation with people. What's wrong? Let me try to find a solution. Is there an issue with the food? Let me make it the way you want it to. So that was one little thing that I took away. And I was good at talking to people. I love talking to people. But I took that away and said, sales is the right thing. That's what I'm good for. And I did some sales gigs here and there. And then my uncle, he just passed away, by the way, and, God rest his soul. I called him and I said, how do I get into this? And he told me the most honest thing ever, go get a license. Now what? Go find an agency, go and do it. So that's how I got into it. We're 15 years in right now.
Wow. So I guess what you're saying is for the young insurance, for the young people out there considering insurance as a career, one of the ways to build $1 million career is to own your own agency, right?
I agree. Yes. Yeah. I've worked for quite a few different people. Rob, thank you for placing me with those people over the years. But they make more of the money, you make less. So yes, I did decide to start my own insurance agency.
Yeah. So take us through the process. I mean, where were you, psychologically? So you, as you said, you went from a chef to working in an insurance agency. Your uncle advised you on things. So here you are, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, working in an insurance agency, brokerage, and you're a salesperson. You're a producer. Tell us about that. How do people make money selling insurance? And describe what different kinds of insurance. You talked about property and casualty, which is commercial lines and personal lines, that there's also benefits. So just for the benefit of our viewers out there who may not know a lot about insurance, just kind of lay the groundwork and explain to people, like, what is the business model? How do you make money as a salesperson?
Number one, find the right people. Find people that want to work with you and that you want to work with. Otherwise, it could become a big problem down the road. So as far as finding clients goes, if you're starting your own company, I believe that's where we're going. If you want to do group benefits, I think that's a great route. Currently, you could still make a lot of money doing that. I don't know the sustainability of it over, the next 10 years. But right now it's a good idea. If you want to get into this, just like any other business, find the people that you want to work with and those that want to work with you. If you want to make a quick buck, sure, do personal lines or do, I don't know, what's the duck thing, but whatever.
Like Geico or something? That's a
Yeah,
captive
whatever it is. Yeah, do that stuff.
State Farm, Nationwide, Geico.
Sure. If you want to do that, there's a quick buck to be made. If you want to have sustainability, find the people that want to be your clients and that you want to have as clients and progress there forward. And, ask them for referrals. That's how you make $1 million. You have to be able to ask people, hey, who can I work with that is just like you?
So you're talking about like circles of influence now, right? People that can connect you to other people.
That's correct. Yeah. That's
Right.
how you get things done. In
So
my
why did
opinion,
you?
I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
So I get it that you can make a lot of money selling insurance. Okay.
Providing.
So talk about personal lines, which is, homeowners insurance. It's like a working for an Allstate or State Farm or a Nationwide. That's mostly personal lines, home and auto. Then you have the commercial lines, which is business insurance, like property insurance. And then you have the benefits. So those are like the three different kinds. The employee benefits, meaning group health insurance. So is there one of these that you believe has a greater potential to have $1 million career?
Again, it depends on how quick you want to get there, and how long you want to, proceed. So in my world, it takes a little bit longer to get to $1 million. If you're doing commercial property and casualty insurance, it takes a little bit longer. If you want to go the route of group benefits, you get there pretty quick, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantees there, because that's a really hard market. Personal lines, different story. You have to beat the streets constantly. You got to. It's all numbers. It's not who you know. It's how many people you know at that point.
Right. I think in property and casualty, property and casualty is personal lines and commercial lines. I just want to draw that.
That's correct. So I only do the commercial side.
Right. So on the commercial line side, I see, from the recruitment side, I see a lot of the really successful producers, the salespeople on the commercial line side, tend to have an industry focus, like construction or nonprofits or government contractors or transportation.
Yep.
And those seem to be the people that make the big dollars, the ones that are the subject matter experts in the chosen industry. Is that right?
Yeah, 100% correct. People like to use the word pigeonhole. It's not, you're not pigeonholing yourself. You're becoming an expert in one field.
Right.
And call it marketing, advertising, whatever you want to. That's a fact. Again, this is my opinion. You cannot know everything all at one time. You
Right, exactly.
literally cannot. So focus on certain industries, whatever you like, again, and
yes,
things that you understand. That's very important. Don't try to do everything at one time. You can't.
Right. I got that. Yep. So why did you make the change from being an employee, a producer, making a lot of money, to owning your own agency? Why did you do that? And why
Well,
would somebody else do it?
I'm a very independent person. That's the first thing. I believe in, making money for myself and my family, and helping out those that don't have that and trying to bring them up from wherever they are. And it was a lot of a financial decision. Again, I think I've already mentioned this, that I go out and I do my job and somebody else gets most of the money. Well,
Yeah.
and maybe they have the right support system for me and for my clients. Well, I found that sometimes it helps not to have that and do it on your own.
Mhm.
That, and you know what, time, it had to do with a lot of time. You have to manage time. So why am I going to sit in a meeting for 2 hours, maybe a day, maybe a week, every other day of a week, when I could go do something more productive? And, instead of having a knee-jerk reaction from somebody else that you don't trust, you could just go do it yourself. So that's why that financial and the ability to make your own decision is why I
Yeah.
did this.
Yeah, because I worked for a billionaire about 20 years ago, the year 1999 and 2000. I remember he sat across from the table from me one time and he said, "Hey, Rob, there's only two kinds of people in the world." And I said, "What's that?" He leaned back in his chair and he said, "There's owners and there's temps." And at first I didn't get that. I'm thinking, owners and temps. Oh, I know what it. Yeah, you either own the business or you're a temporary employee, because you're always like 2 weeks away from being fired or from being restructured out of the company with all the acquisitions going on. I mean, no matter how much money you make and how important you think you are, you're basically always 2 weeks from being out the door, right? Owners and temps.
It's all correct.
So you can actually make the case, and I know how scary it is to open up my own business, and you're experiencing some of that now. I'm guessing.
Terrifying. Yeah.
But I mean, you can make the case that if you want stability and security for a long period of time, start your own business.
It's the only way to do it.
And that's what this show is about. You and me, maybe educating our viewers out there on how they could do this. Because I don't know about you, Bill, but if I could do it, anybody could do it.
Ask any business owner right now if they feel more secure. I bet you at least 99% would agree that yes, they're more secure. Even if they've sold their business, they're doing better off than if they work for somebody else.
This whole notion about the Great Resignation, which I'm sure you've heard about. I just read something in the Wall Street Journal this morning, actually. I just thought of this. Is there 58% of the employees out there in the United States are actually considering making a move from their current company? That's unbelievable. Just 2 years ago, it was 30%. Now it's double. So there's twice as many people right now working in a company. 60% of the workforce is looking to make a change. That means if you're a business owner, 60% of your employees are already 1 foot out the door. That to me is just astounding.
Well, we can get into unemployment numbers and stuff like that if you'd like to, but if you're trying to start a career, insurance is actually a really good place to get into right now. There's a lot of consolidation. As you know, big agencies are buying smaller agencies, and people I need help right now. I'm looking to hire right this second. So if you want to start a career, it literally is the right time to do it within this industry.
Because no, my clients, No, that's an excellent point. My clients right now, and I represent more than 50% of the top insurance agencies in the Washington, DC market. Okay.
You do,
I talk,
including mine also.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's amazing how many of my clients will tell me, uh, where are all the young people, Rob? Why isn't there anybody wanting to get into insurance? You know, the average age of an insurance agency is like 56 years old or something.
Yeah.
There's a complete dearth of talent. There really is. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing the $1 Million Career, is because I want to inspire, inform, and even maybe entertain some people to consider insurance as a career. So tell people, you being
They want to go be
insurance-
chefs. They want
No,
to
but
go they want to chase their passions, or
no, but I mean, tell people a little bit about like why insurance would be a great career though, for a young person.
oh God. Well, you get to explore everything. So I live vicariously through my clients. Like I have clients that do all kinds of crazy stuff. Granted, I have to read a lot of contracts and have conversations that I don't want to have, but that becomes a bit of a game. And my clients do fun stuff. And by that, I get to go meet these people in person and do things that I would never have done without them. And that goes for 100% of people that are in this business. Rob, you would attest to this. You meet all kinds of different people, and they do all kinds of different things.
Yeah,
And you get to live that life, little bits at a time, and then go home. And there's a lot of money in it. There is. If you know how to do it the right way, there's money. Nobody would do it if there was no money. This business is over 400 years old. It's been there for a long time. There's money there if you treat it the right way.
Yeah. And you know, what I've always, so what do you think about this? I've always thought that, if a 25-year-old came to me and wanted some advice about insurance, I'd probably tell him to work in the insurance industry for maybe 5 years. As a salesperson, maybe work with a larger firm, get trained, know how to do it, understand the business model, and then go out on your own. But I think you would need at least 5 to 7 years of experience. Wouldn't you think?
I would say 10.
So you get 10 years of experience, making pretty good money as a producer.
Yeah, I think 5 to 7 is a understatement. You need to know the industry. You need to know all the carriers. And by the way, it's a very incestuous group of people. Your underwriter might be with one carrier, they go to another, and you need to get to know all of those people and how things are handled. 5 to 7 years, I say 7 men. Yeah. Minimum. Yep.
So having been through the process now of starting your own insurance agency, do you think it's more difficult or less difficult than you thought it was going to be at the beginning of the process?
Well, there's learning curves, Rob, so is it more difficult? Now that I have started my own. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I didn't know that I did not know. I realize I'm a terrible bookkeeper. Not good at accounting, funny enough, but not a good bookkeeper. So there's a lot of learning curves constantly, a lot of red tape, a lot of, regulatory things you have to take care of on your own. So that's more difficult. But the ability to make exactly the amount of money that you want to make is by far better than working for somebody else. You have to work for somebody else first. You have to do that. You have to gain the experience. But make sure for anybody else that, that's out there listening to this, make sure that you understand the person that you're going to go to work for, and they have the right idea for you. And that, continue learning. And by the way, anybody I hire, I know they're probably going to move on at some point. And that's fine. but that's extremely important if you're trying to get into this industry. Make sure that you're putting yourself in the right position, just like finding clients. Same idea.
Yeah. So what skills, we talked about experience, but like what skills and even
Yeah,
attributes
it's not bookkeeping.
necessary? Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, so like what skills would somebody really need to be successful as a small business owner in insurance and make a lot of money?
Communication.
That's what I thought. Yeah, communication skills.
Yep. Being able to communicate with basically anybody at any point. Try to smile. By the way, if you stand up, walk around on a phone call and you have a smile on your face, people hear it. They understand it. So communication skills is extremely important. And it really just an ability to learn, or not an ability, a thirst for knowledge, because this is an ever-changing industry. Cybersecurity right now, or cyber liability insurance over the past few months has gone completely awry. Things have changed. There's new things to learn. If you have a thirst for knowledge, that you'll be able to deliver that to your clients and to the people that are around you. So that those are two things right there.
Yeah. I don't think you can underestimate the ability that one has to have to accumulate and understand and process information, because correct me if I'm wrong, but one day you could be pitching a deal for a guy that has a construction company. So you have to understand bonds and construction.
Yeah.
And the next day you could be talking to somebody who maybe has a technology company who has cybersecurity issues or something. So you're right. You have to understand, you have to be a quick study, right? You have to be able to understand any industry on any given day until you become mature enough as an agency that you can start to specialize, I guess, right?
Yeah, correct. The industries that you would like to work with again. So that's the fun thing about what I do. If there's a certain industry that I don't want to work in, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have to. If there's one that I do want to work in, I focus on those, and I meet people and I learn more about their lives and everything their business and who their clients are.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is fascinating when you dive into it. It really is.
That's the thing about insurance. I think insurance has the worst public relations, the worst advertising.
Well,
it's all like little
stop
animals.
watching the stupid commercials on TV.
It's all these little animals running around, like the road runner in the kangaroo and all these crazy things. But I mean, truly,
there's a gecko there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's an industry that's just got a bad rap. Nobody really knows about it, and I think young people could actually make a lot of money in insurance. I really do. Jeez.
Yeah, absolutely. I've supported my entire family for 15 years now, and still working on it. Yeah, I'm going to buy more houses at some point, Rob. That'll happen.
Good, and more cars too.
Well,
you gotta have a big car if you're insurance, right?
You don't really drive so much anymore. But
I've never seen an insurance.
I do need a truck. Yes.
I've never seen an insurance sales guy, no matter how much money he's making, driving a cheap car. So at least you get to drive a really nice car, right?
I have a Lexus and a Nissan, and I would like to drive a truck as well, but gas prices are out of control, so no point in doing that right now.
So I remember I was interviewing a woman probably like 10-15 years ago, and I remember I was at a Starbucks restaurant when you actually met people before COVID. Now always Zoom, so we actually met people in person, and I always prided myself in that because I was local to Washington D.C. I remember I was sitting at a Starbucks waiting for this woman who wanted to be an insurance producer. And I saw this convertible Cadillac, which you don't see much anymore. but a convertible Cadillac just wheel into the parking lot and kind of just wheel right into the parking space, and the door flies open and she jumps out, and all I see are the high heels. And I'm thinking, this has got to be her, because she was a very successful insurance sales producer. And sure enough, it was her. And I will tell you, I learned something from her, because I asked her during the interview, the first question, what motivates you to work in insurance as a salesperson? I mean, what really drives you? First question, right? You know what her answer was? Money. I want to make money.
Yeah.
I said, really? She goes, oh yeah. I don't mind telling you, Rob, you look at that car out there. I love that car. I take big vacations. I wear big jewelry, nice jewelry. She goes, look at me. Yeah. And she was very attractive. She goes, just look at me. Do you think this costs money? This costs a lot of money. And I'm like, man, she makes a lot of sense. And she goes, I don't know how to tell you this, Rob, but I am motivated to make a lot of money, and I want to sell insurance.
A lot of
Finding
sense,
a better
no pun
place.
intended. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was working as an account executive, making probably, I think she was making, and this is 10 years ago, she was making like 90,000 as a senior account executive. I placed her with another client. I said, I have a producer candidate, dynamic personality, dresses very well, speaks very well, and she's motivated to make a lot of money. And the client, I never forget it, the client hiring authority, who will remain unnamed, said, I want to talk to her. She gets hired. The first year, I called her at a 1 year anniversary, like I do most of my candidates. And I said, how's it going? And she goes, it's going great. I said, really? She goes, I clocked in at 212 and a half. And I'm like, what do you mean 212 and a half? I didn't know what she was talking about. She goes, I made $212,500 this year after 1 year. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. She goes, no.
That's seriously unheard of. Yeah.
She goes, I'm just making calls. And my first client was a guy who operated a helicopter company. And he took me up in the helicopter and I closed the deal. And then he had all these other businesses. And she goes, from that guy, I got all kinds of leads. And then from those leads, I got other leads. And I said, how the hell did you do it? And she goes, well, first of all, I work for a great insurance broker that has great carriers. And she goes, I've got a personal and a professional relationship with all these people, and they just like being around me, and I give them a good price. I'm professional. We have great support. And she says, I just want to make money. I fly out of bed every morning, jump in my Cadillac, and go out and pitch deals. And she says, it's a numbers game. But she said, I knew I could make a lot of money in insurance, but I had no idea I could make this much money.
Yeah.
I've been in contact with this woman, and this is 9 years ago. She's working for one of the biggest insurance brokers in Washington, D.C. And again, I'm not going to mention her name, but
I probably know her.
I'm sure you do. She made over $750,000 last year. I mean, what does a person do with $750,000? You know what I mean?
I have a few ideas.
And I asked her, I said, how the hell did you make that much money? And she goes, I'm only working like 2.5, 3 days a week now. I said,
Yeah.
really? She goes, yeah, I have all my clients. And you know, that's the beautiful thing about insurance, I think. And maybe you could talk about that. Like, so how does a guy like you like generate money from selling insurance as an owner or a producer? Explain how the model works. Like you get renewals and commissions, all that kind of stuff.
Renewals are a totally different story, but you touched on a couple of very important things. So your client, you know, your friend with, I know who it is. I won't say her name. So she met somebody, and her first client was a helicopter company, or you know, maybe training or development. I don't know exactly, but yeah, she networked at that point. She got to know other people and just had more conversations.
Mm-hmm, right.
I think my first client, actually, I know my first client was a hair salon. So she is doing way better than I was 15 years ago, because there's not a lot of networking going on, but you keep moving and meeting more people. Another thing you brought up is, why do you do this and how do you get into it? Or why do you get into it? And I think we've touched on this a little bit, but number one, money, of course. Like, you're not going to go and work unless you're getting paid. I would imagine that's how most people feel. The second one is freedom.
Yeah.
Like I said, at the beginning of this conversation, I'm a pretty independent fella. And I like to talk to the people that I want to work with or talk to and try to help them along with their money and their insurance and see what we can do with one another.
Yeah.
After a while, it doesn't really feel like a job anymore. And that's the other thing. It becomes fun. Like, it's actually an enjoyable industry to be in. There's crap like any other industry, but it's fun.
Yeah. So how does the business model work though? I mean, like, okay, let me give you an example. You go out and take the example of a hair salon. You get in contact with this individual, she runs a hair salon or he runs a hair salon, and you're selling what? Property insurance, general liability, workman's comp. So let's say the total premiums are $20,000 a year. So just take us from there. $20,000 is how much that salon is paying in insurance, 20,000. So how does that trickle down to what a salesperson would make and an owner?
It was more like 2,000, by the way. It was, it's a
use the
hair
example of
salon.
20,000. Yeah.
So, the smaller the business and, the scope of what their operations is, it does dictate what you have to pay for insurance. So if it was a hair salon that had 30 locations, 50 locations, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. If it's, I worked with cosmetic plastic surgeons for a period of time, and he only had 4 or 5 employees, but that was still $100,000 in a premium, what they paid for their insurance. I think your question is, what do you get as a producer?
Right.
Okay. The rough number is 12%. That's usually what you see, and every line of insurance has a different percentage. But when you add it all up, it's usually about 12%. So if you work for somebody else, you have to abide by what they think you should have. If you work for yourself, you get 100% of it, and then you spend the money as you need. So I've worked for companies in the past that their commission split, and it changed all the time, was 40-20.
Right.
First year.
That's not industry standard. Yeah.
Well, it
so
depends
take the
on
example of 100. So using the 40-20 split, walk us through the example of it's $100,000 deal. It's $100,000 in premium your client's paying. So just walk us through.
Your commission on $100,000 would be $12,000, and then you get 40% of that. The house gets to keep 60%, and then they're going forward. You get 20%, and the house keeps 80%, going on thereafter.
Right. So in the case of $100,000 deal, you would get so the agency would get $12,000, 12%. So $12,000 comes into the agency, and you would get 40% of that, which is $4,800, and the company would get 60%, which is $7,200. Okay, so your employer makes $7,200, you make $4,800. Okay,
correct. Yes.
So that's a deal. So $4,800. So to make $100,000, you got to do probably 2 deals a month, roughly speaking, of $100,000. Right. That's kind of an example. Right.
Yeah. Depending on what your targets are, but yeah.
Exactly. So now if you own the business, in the case of you, if you make $100,000 deal, that $12,000 comes into you, and you're obviously not splitting that with anybody, but you got to pay rent and all sorts of other stuff. So that's roughly how the model works. I got you. And then you would hopefully start hiring other people. Yeah.
And that's where the learning curves come in. Like, there's certain things that I didn't realize I was stepping into. But
So
they're fun. Again, it's still fun stuff. Like, you still get to
yeah.
learn things.
So it sounds like too that you would have to be three things: a minder, a grinder, and a finder, right?
Sure.
The finder is finding the business, right? Like, who are my clients going to be? The grinder is going to be, you got to have somebody grinding it out. And like you said, that making the calls to the carriers, placing the insurance, pricing it, all that stuff. And I guess the minder would be the bookkeeping, man, right? Somebody's got to do the bookkeeping, right?
That's right.
That ain't you, Bill. I can tell you. You would be a lousy bookkeeper. I can just tell.
I've already
I would not
admitted
want
that,
you
sir.
doing my
So-
books. I just made a mental note. Bill Bolton will never do my books.
No, I will not. And I will never offer that service to you, sir. And on that note, make sure if you have a certain target, make sure that you know exactly how you want to approach them and how you want to deliver your message. I do things quite a bit differently than many other agencies out there, but I know how to deliver my message, and the clients that I want enjoy that message and they want to work with me.
So let's do a little role play, okay? I'm going to be a potential client, okay?
Okay.
Just for the benefit of our viewers, I want them to see how this is done, how easy it can be done if you know what you're doing. Okay, so I'm a client. I own a recruiting business, right? Management Recruiters of Fairfax.
I've heard of it.
And you call me and you say, hey, Jim Smith, a mutual friend of ours in the golf course, recommended that I call you. And you just sort of walk me through how you would pitch me for you to get my insurance. Okay.
Sure. Rob, I understand you play golf, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was out this past weekend.
Yeah, well, I was as well. And, I was, out there with your friend, and he said I should give you a call. Let me know if we could set up a time to, go play some golf, or I'll just do a Zoom call, maybe some lunch, whatever you want to do.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah.
Make a simple connection. Where are you from? Where'd you go to college?
You know what it is, really? It's establishing common ground. That's what the initial rapport is. So I think you hit on something. I think the key is you would never call anybody up and just say, hey, I want your insurance. When does your insurance expire?
Yeah.
You got to
hey, buy this crap. Come on, talk to me. No, you're right.
It's all about connections and relationships. That's what it is. Because if you had said to me, hey, Rob, I'd like to come over and talk to you about your insurance needs, I'd probably shut you right down. I'd probably say, look, I got a guy that I already use, and insurance isn't at the top of my list. I don't have time. I got meetings. I'm traveling. Call me back in a month. And then I wouldn't take your call. But if you said, hey, Rob, I understand that you're a Redskins. I guess I don't call them the Redskins anymore.
No, not anymore.
Washington Football Club or something.
You
say, hey,
it's the football team. Yeah.
Oh, let's go watch a football team. And I guess I'm supposed to know that that's the old Washington Redskins. And I would say, yeah, let's go watch a football team in a city between Maryland and Virginia. Is that how we would phrase that? Probably, because are we supposed to say Washington, D.C. anymore? We can't?
It's the Washington football team. I still say Redskins all the time, and it depends on where you are in Maryland. So if you're Southern Maryland around DC, you typically are a Redskins fan or a Washington football team fan. And if you're further north, and you're a Ravens fan. Used to be the Colts, by the way. And hopefully you still have the same editor. Hopefully they edit out buy this crap, because I don't want that to be said. It's not crap. It's not a commodity.
No, I mean, yeah. So then you would establish common ground and invite me out for something, or have lunch or something like that. And then you would slowly get into the insurance needs, and ultimately, I guess you would cut to the chase and say, what? How can I help you with your insurance needs? Do you have any issues with your insurance needs? I mean, how would you?
Well, usually I say, what is your experience?
Mhm.
And then, they will start, whomever it is, they will start telling me, what their experience, with insurance is, whether it's claims, great carrier, great broker, or maybe not. You begin the conversation. In my opinion, that's, how I started, what's your experience with it? But I don't go there right away.
Yeah,
No, it's really about making a decent connection in life
yeah,
and not about business. And
yeah,
once you make a decent connection, I want my clients to be my friends.
yeah,
That's the end goal at some point. And there's money involved there, somewhere along that path. But yeah,
yeah,
it's not about, just hard sale. Here's the pitch. Let's do it right now. That is not the objective, at
yeah.
least not what I do.
But you mentioned, yeah, right. So yeah, I totally get that. You got to be really strong on interpersonal communication skills, networking, establishing connections. Uh,
Yep.
you have to be able to do a lot of different things too. Like you said, if you own your own business, you got to be able to do the books, you got to be able to do the vendors, operations, sales, and all that. But one other thing I want to ask you about is it seems like people like this woman I was talking about, how she was making, $750,000 a year and only working 2 or 3 days. How do you get to the point in insurance where you're making a lot of money and
I
you're not
don't know
really?
yet, Rob. I'm still trying to figure that out.
No, but I mean, is it because you have a book of business that keeps growing? Is that what it is?
It is, or again, depending on, what your target clientele is. If you want to go after, um, a hair salon all day long, I mean, you'll write 1,000 policies and you'll make $20,000-$30,000. If you want to go after different targets, move upstream. Go after somebody that has a bigger operation, more vehicles on the road, doing aviation, in that example, find a different target.
Yeah, so maybe a good candidate.
You'll make more money that way.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what she was doing. I don't know exactly, but
it's sort of like hunting. I guess if you're going to hunt, you could go into the woods with a BB gun, right? And shoot a bunch of
if you bring a
rodents,
rabbit home, you're going to
squirrels.
eat for a day. If you bring a deer home, you're going to eat for a while.
Right.
So yeah,
So, yeah,
find your targets. And by the way, some of the smaller companies, they take as much, if not more, time than some of the bigger companies, the more complex ones, I guess I should say. So just make sure you pick your clients appropriately.
yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of these people, you get as you start selling accounts, you establish what we call a book of business, right? So a book of
Yes, yeah,
business would be
that's right.
15 or 20 clients that you have. And if you add up all those premiums, let's say it comes up to $1 million, right? Let's say you have 20 clients and you have $1 million of recurring, because insurance policies typically renew every year, of $1 million. That'll be
Yes,
$120,000 in revenue coming into your organization, or, right? 120 coming in your organization. I think the great thing about insurance, though, is that the renewals are usually above 90%, right? So if you have a book of business of
yeah,
$1 million, most of that, even if you do nothing the following year, which is the best thing about insurance, you do nothing the following year, nothing at all. You decide not even to make a phone call. You're going to have most of that revenue is going to be coming in the following year. So it would seem to me that one of the great things about insurance is that this revenue is recurring every year. It usually renews, right?
it does. But for again, for those of you that are listening to this, don't do nothing the next year. Keep in touch with them. Again, you want to try to be friends with them, and they will pass you on to new business. Yeah, my retention is 100%. It's important do to do that. You know what, I don't know anybody that does nothing. Sometimes they do the bare minimum. And I don't agree with that either. I think that you should do more and keep your clients. But yes, retention is over 90%. You got to put on your CFO hat or your owner hat, every so often, and understand that going through this is not the easiest thing to do. So if you're going to make a change from one carrier to another, or from one broker or agent to another, it's going to take time. Again, that's why you want to stay in touch with them and make sure that they're getting what they are actually paying for.
Yeah, I guess my point was not to obviously take a year off. I guess my point was that in a worst case scenario, your business is going to be rolling over from year to year.
Every year.
Every year at 95%. Obviously you want to keep working every year. So the point is, it's like a set of stairs, right? Your book of business is going to go from $1 million to $1.5 million, 2 million to 2.5 million. And when you get to be like this young lady, 8 or 9 years later, your book of business is so large that just the renewals on that thing are several $100,000 without even making an incremental sale. But obviously, if you're in insurance, you got to, even if you don't want to make the phone calls, I think what happens is your referrals from your existing business start to roll in, and that's when it becomes a lot of fun.
Yes, it does.
Like in my business now, I never pick up the phone and call on people. Hey, do you need any recruiting services? All my business now, 100% of it comes from warm referrals. Like somebody will call and say, hey, Rob, I heard that you're really good executive recruiting and insurance. We'd like to do business with you. It's the same with insurance. And that's why I think people can make insurance into $1 million career, because of the nature of the recurring revenue, as opposed to selling cars. January 1st, you're at zero. Selling houses, January 1st, you're at zero. Insurance is one of those few things where it just keeps increasing. Like it's
sustainable is the word that I use. But as long as you keep your book and you keep your clients happy, you continue to get paid on those. Like selling cars. And that's one of the bad reputations that people in insurance have, that people look at us like used car salesmen, which subsequently is a bigger market right now than new cars. But we all have a bad connotation. If you find the right agency and you find the right people, you can actually make a career out of this that is sustainable, and your clients will appreciate it. Yes. Everything you just said is correct. Yeah.
Good, man. Well, I don't really have anything else, Bill. Is there any final parting words that you'd like to give to particularly the young people out there that are considering insurance as a career, particularly people who are motivated to build and grow wealth, to have $1 million career?
Train yourself. Nobody's going to force you to do it. Not in this industry. I've had opportunities to take different classes and learn from different people. Train yourself. Learn as much as you possibly can about whatever segment of the market you want to be in. And if the owner of your agency, or your manager or officer, whoever it may be, if they are not keeping up on that, poke at them and ask for more training as you're getting into this industry. It is very difficult. It's very time consuming. It's very valuable though. So if you get into it, train yourself or poke at the people that are supposed to be doing it.
Yeah. I'll throw my final comment in here too as well. It would seem to me that an almost ideal individual to move into a position of insurance sales with the ultimate objective of possibly owning their own agency would be somebody that is currently a subject matter expert in a particular industry. Let's take construction. You got a guy who's working in the construction industry for 5 to 7 years. He has all the contacts, right? All the contacts, all the hiring authorities, all the CFOs. He knows, he goes to conferences. He's well networked. Man, you take a guy like that with a Rolodex or a great database of construction people, decision makers. You put that guy with the right insurance agency, provide him some training, man, that guy, I mean, or a woman could make a fortune because their network is already there, right?
Correct. However, there is I talked about learning curves here quite a few times. There's a learning curve.
Yeah.
Don't get overzealous. Just because you got your insurance license doesn't mean you know everything.
Right.
I did that. I made that mistake myself. I got my license and I was like, yep, I got it. No, I didn't.
So you have to get with the right, firm, the right insurance agency or broker. And you know what? You know who could help with that?
This guy right here, Rob Houghton.
If there's anybody out there listening, anybody that falls into that category, they want to make money, they want to create wealth, build a book of business, and maybe you have some subject matter expertise. I have clients that would be very interested to talk with you, and maybe Bill would too, because we're always looking for top talent out there. So Bill, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. I wish you the greatest amount of luck. I know what it is starting out my business. The first year, I was really, really scared.
Yeah.
The second year, I was thinking, you know, this may work. And the third year, I was like, why didn't I think about doing this 10 years ago? You know what I mean?
I said the same thing. And by the way, that's one of the things that we said we're going to talk about. Is it terrifying? Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. Like when you try to start your own, yeah, it's scary. But guess what? If you keep doing it, it's going to be fine. And more than fine.
So let me ask you this. Okay, I was going to end the show, but you brought up something else. I want to just continue this a little bit longer. So what does it take to open up your own agency? I mean,
save some money.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to get paid for a while. And you hold on to your contacts, and then you have to get a license. Not an insurance license, but you have to get a contract with insurance carriers. So you can go through an aggregator, and they have different carriers you can go to. That makes life a little bit easier. But expect about 3 months until you actually get any money. And then there's also other companies you could work with that have, different carriers you can go directly through. I don't want to name any names right now, so I'm
I know.
a little timid about that, but save at least 3 months of money, because you're not going to get paid for 3 months at the very minimum.
Right. All right.
Just keep talking. It's not that hard. You keep talking to the same people you have been, your friends, your family, your clients. You just continue, touching, base with each and every single one of them. And eventually you build a book of business. That doesn't really answer your question, does it?
No, that's right. I mean, we could
You want to try that one again?
Let's try this, Bill. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you to ask you more questions, maybe anybody is interested in insurance for whatever reason, how could they get a hold of you, Bill?
Don't call me. No, I'm kidding. So it's no. Ask that question. You're editing this out, right?
No, I'm just going with this, Bill. You are on camera.
Okay.
So Bill, let me ask you again. Okay, so somebody
No,
wants
no,
to,
it's all right.
yeah,
You can reach me on my phone anytime. It's 703-608-1690. That is the best way to reach me. My website is bbolton or bbinsuranehub.com. And my email is bbolton@bbinsuranehub.com. That's
great,
Bravo Insurance.
great. Well, Bill, I wish you a lot of luck. Let's continue the conversation. Let's stay in touch. Maybe I'll have you on the show again when you hit that
I'd love
$1
to
million.
do it.
You know,
Yeah.
the best of luck to you, man. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.